Let me talk to the men out there listening real quick. Guys, are you suffering from erectile dysfunction, fatigue, decreased muscle tone, lack of energy, low libido, brain fog, sleep disturbances? Hey, low libido, ask your girlfriend or wife. She'll let you know if you're suffering from that or not. That's sex drive. If you'll text my name, Clay, in all caps to 601-327-8550, 601-327-8550, Men's Health of Mississippi and the Clay Edwards Show are going to hook you up with a free testosterone screening. They're located in Madison, Mississippi at 120 Fountains Boulevard. You can check them out online, menshealthms.com. But one more time, text my name, all caps, Clay, to 601-327-8550 and get your free testosterone screening scheduled today. Enjoy the rest of this show. Boom goes the dynamite. It's hour 2 of the most incendiary show on the RADIO. It is the Clay Edwards Show, streaming worldwide at WYAB.com, as well as the TuneIn app and Alexa. Just search WYAB, and you can listen to the entire plethora of hosts here from 6A all the way to 6P, and beyond that, too, with our overnight stuff, whether it be the Atlanta Braves baseball when that starts back, or other great shows like Officer, I can't remember his name. Anyway, I digress. It's WYAB.com. You listen to WYAB anywhere you go, wherever you go outside the listening area of 103.9 FM. Then we are streaming in stunning 4K video. Sean has you may recognize that Sean looks a little differently than he did coming out of the last break. We are in stunning 4K, like I said, at Save JXN on Facebook, X, YouTube, and Rumble. You can watch us on video there. You can always go back and start this over at any point in time and watch the entire video. And you just fast forward through the commercials there. Since there are no commercials that air on the commercials do not push over to the internet outside of the live reads. But anyway, this segment, real quick, just what's for lunch today? That's what I was going to do real quick since we got a guest in here. What's for lunch today? Blue plates, McBee's, fried catfish, and of course you have several other things that are available all day, including hamburger steak and country fried steak and grilled or fried chicken breast. Martin's, Livingston and Martin's downtown, it's a fried chicken Friday. They like to throw a curveball there. Everybody does catfish. Martin says, we'll do chicken. And you can't go wrong with their fried chicken. It's oh so good. And, of course, the full menu is always available at Martin's. And then our good friends at all 3 locations of Burgers, Blues, Barbecue, including the one in Flowood, Mississippi, where our dear friend here is running for mayor. It is a fried catfish Friday. And, man, their catfish, again, is oh so good. I took the family there a couple Fridays ago, and they all got the catfish, and I got a hamburger because, you go to Burgers Blues, you get a hamburger.
Right.
I do love their chicken wings, too. But the burgers are oh so good there. And I'm not necessarily even what you call a burger guy. It's not something I get everywhere I go by any means. But if they put burgers in the title, you go to burgers. It's like going to the steakhouse and getting fish.
That's right.
I'm getting steak at a steakhouse.
Absolutely.
So all 3 locations of Burgers, Blues, Barbecue. Of course, the full menu is available, but it is a fried catfish Friday there as well. And you can get hamburger steak or red beans and rice as part of the blue plate all day as well. So check them all out. We appreciate it. And don't forget our friends at the Manship right there on State Street across from Baptist Hospital. Their menu differs every day, but there is a $15 blue plate at the Manship as well. Check out their new menu. They just posted it online. Lots of great things going on there. They've got their bourbon barrel shots of the day. They do have the best whiskey bar in the state of Mississippi, hands down. And at happy hour, it's half-price wood-fired pizzas. Come on down, young son.
Okay.
Hey,
you sold me. Now I'm hungry. I appreciate that.
I spend way too much money at the Manship because I could walk to it from my house, and it's just really bad. Steven gets all my money, man. He just really does.
Well, we got Greg Wilcox here in the studio. Greg is running for mayor of Flowood. Welcome to the show, friend.
Thank you, Clay. Look, it's an honor to even be on your show. I can assure you I've been listening to you for years, know you personally, and seen you quite a few times out at the fairgrounds, whether it be last time I think I saw you was during our rodeo, so Dixie National Rodeo, which turned out very well for us to say
record-breaking year, right?
Record-breaking year, yes, absolutely. And that's kind of how I got out there was through Commissioner Gibson. Back in 2021, he grabbed a hold of me and needed me to come out there after I retired from the city of Flowood, and I'm their midway manager and also event specialist out there. I handle a lot with I'm on the MDOC board for 22 years out at the female prison there. And just in estimates throughout the year, we saved right at $400,000 in employee costs, just by utilizing the female prisoners out there. So hits like that, and be able to do stuff like that is basically, I've been blessed to be able to be in those positions. I love working for Andy Gibson.
I love Andy and the job he's done there. And it ain't just him. I know a lot of the team over there.
Right.
Michael Lassiter, Big Jim,
yep,
all those guys. And he's put a great team together. And I'm going to tell you, with all the things that go on around the fairgrounds in Jackson,
right, what
Andy's done, and that tragic thing with the Crawfish Bowl a couple of years ago,
right.
What Andy was able to do is to recognize a problem,
right,
and to come in and not make excuses and fix the problem with the security and the safety down at the fairgrounds. With
absolutely,
F-150s getting stolen and all that kind of stuff, and vehicles getting broken into. That ended
completely. I mean, I'm here to tell you that's what I was discussing with Matt out there earlier, that since that incident did happen, that tragic accident did happen, or incident for Mudbug Bash, it's one of those things that's very unfortunate, but it did bring a lot of positive things that come out of that, because we have increased security, and probably one of the safest places in Jackson was going to be inside those fairgrounds.
Well, there hasn't been an incident at the fair since then either. I mean, the trickle down effect from that, and it realizing we have a flaw here, because you can't control stupid, unfortunately.
Right.
But you guys have found out a way to prevent it.
Well, and it's all about technology. You bring in magnetometers, you bring in the right personnel, and you can fix pretty much everything. Every once in a while, you're going to have something slip in or whatever, but we take proactive measures to ensure all safety aspects are, in fact, they meet every single day pretty much around security, just to make sure that people, because if you don't have the people, you have no events, and without events, you have no economy. So,
well, and this is relevant to Flowood
and
the events that Flowood host and whatnot, and keeping those safe. You were a big part in bringing some of those events to Flowood Family Fest, and bringing Christian artists to Flowood. That happened under your watch as Parks and Recreation Director, I assume?
That's right. Yep. Started in 1999. Mayor Rhodes hired me in December of 99. Shortly after that, he promoted me to Parks Director. And, from that day on, I put together a great team. The city of Flowood is very blessed by having a lot of businesses and things like that. Also, just to move on forward a little bit with the events and stuff, I mean, I was able to bring people like Keith Urban, Brad Paisley, the Ronnie Millsaps, for King and Country. You can keep on naming them. I mean, it's over and over, and all that was free of charge, because I went out and started a sponsorship program that basically paid for all those acts for people to come from all over the place, and especially our Flowood residents that were coming to enjoy a show absolutely free. Now, the food they had to pay for, but
sure,
very minimal. So stuff like that is what brings synergy to Flowood.
Some of my good friends are the Allman family,
yes.
Stage Light Sound, and they do the production.
Buck and Dusty, yes,
Buck and Dusty do all the production out there for that, as well as down at the rodeo and stuff.
Right.
And they take a lot of pride in that. I like seeing all their work, and I like that y'all use local vendors for that, where unfortunately some of our other festivals and venues around here don't.
That's right.
And I think it's real important for synergy to keep that money local.
It is, and that's a key too. You're exactly right. You've got to keep your money local, because the money stays inside of Rankin County, and keeping it local like that. So there is a plus to having connections like that, and I guess that's one of my fortes. Is I've got connections to all these people around events, whether it be the Buck Almonds, the food and beverage people that come along with all that. So I've been very blessed to I've got over 5,000 people in my phone. So every day it's, I'm getting blown up, but I love stuff like that, because I'm a people person, and I want to be able to help people. That's the main thing.
Well, it sounds like if you had to put your title on a business card, it would just say facilitator.
Pretty much, yes.
It's something I take a lot of pride in.
Absolutely.
I was talking to the fellow that runs the insurance agency downstairs here, Jamie Creel, yesterday, and he was like, "Man, I'm so much more than an insurance agent. I do this, I do that." I'm like, "I'm the same way." I said, "I host a radio show, but I'm not a radio host."
Right.
It's part of the puzzle that is.
It is
Clay Edwards.
And when you got those pieces of the puzzle, then the puzzle comes together, and everyone's a winner. So there's certain things you can do in this life, but whenever you're able to help people, exactly what we were put on this earth, then you're doing your job. Even if you help one person, you're doing your job.
no, I agree 100%. I think all the stuff that you've learned over the years doing that, it's going to help you with facilitating, obviously, and pulling people together and going in the time you spent working under a great leader like Andy for the last couple of years and seeing what he's done and how he manages and disperses responsibilities to folks and hires good people and lets them do their job. Like I said, I know Mike Lassiter, I know Big Jim, I know you, and I know several other folks down there whose names elude me off the top of my head here. But he allows people to do their jobs. You hire the right people. It's like our great president, Donald Trump, the second time around here, learn from his mistakes. Now he's surrounding himself with, people can fight, fuss, and argue, but he's surrounding himself with people he trusts to do their job.
Absolutely, and you need those. And that's what a great leader does. You don't have to be the smartest cookie in the room, but you surround yourself with those types of people that are professional in their jobs, and that's when you thrive. Because when you surround yourself with the great people like that, you listen to them. Now, ultimately, we have to make the decisions whether we listen to them or not. But more times than not, because they've had that profession and they know they've already been through what can work and what can't work. So if you'll listen to them and just step back and let them do their jobs without having to have your thumb on it, then everything works.
Well, if you ever think you're the smartest guy in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of knowing that you're not the smartest guy in the room. And I never want to be the smartest guy in the room. Of course, it's not hard for me to not be the smartest guy in the room. So I'm welcomed in any room if that's the ceiling.
There you go.
But no, I kid. Look, we're going to take our first break. We're actually getting some questions from some local business owners that want you to address a few things out there in Flowood.
Sounds great.
We'll get to those and more here on the other side of the break. We got Greg Wilcox, candidate for mayor of Flowood, here in the studio with Sean Yurtkaran and myself here on this beautiful Friday as it's starting to warm up outside. I think the high today is 69 degrees, so it's going to be a great day to get out and enjoy some of the great parks and recreation we got out there in Rankin County and cities like Flowood. We'll be right back on WYAB. Welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show here with co-host Sean Yurtkaran on a FAFO Friday, as we like to call them here. In the studio, we've got our buddy running for mayor of Flowood, Mr. Greg Wilcox, here in the studio. Real quick, we're going to plug a Flowood business in the spirit of Flowood, one of our great sponsors, El Patrio Mexican Restaurant and Cantina. Yes. They've got their Flowood and their Crossgates location. You're looking for some great Mexican food, somewhere great to take a birthday party. That's what I love about these Mexican restaurants. They're so efficient.
They are. I'm telling you. In fact, I ate Mexican last night, as a matter of fact. In fact, John Martinez is a good friend of mine. He is down to earth as anybody can be.
Him and his wife are great.
Oh, yeah, they are.
We do all of our family birthdays with them now and everything, and, man, they treat us like royalty when we go in there. I mean, I'm turning down shots at lunchtime. I'm like, I can't do it right now. This ain't St. Patrick's Day.
And the thing about it, they've been there in Flowood forever, so they are kind of a staple of Flowood for the Mexican restaurants.
100%. I mean, others have come and gone around them, and they because they give back to the community.
Oh, absolutely.
And they put the community first.
They do.
And advertising on shows like this, not just because it's me, but advertising on a show that's so locally based, and they know the demographic, and they want that demographic to come and support them, and that means a lot to me. And they're patriots too.
Oh yeah, look, straight up. I'm talking about down to earth. If you want to eat some great Mexican restaurant, you need to go over to El Patrio for sure.
100%. So y'all get out there, enjoy them this weekend. Whether it's one person or 100 people, they will get you in, find you a seat, and get you served. They have got it down to a science.
Absolutely.
There. All right, Mr. Wilcox. So we had a question from one of our great listeners, and happens to be a sponsor of the show here, Mr. Casey Ellis over at Ellis Autoplex. Says, have Greg talk about why he will change the city ordinance against used car dealers and the current administration not allowing them to grow. So what's going on there? Okay,
so I know Casey he's out on 471. He's right on the outskirts.
He's right in that little weird bubble of Flowood.
Absolutely. If you stay on one side of 471, you're Flowood. You're on the other side, you're in the county. But I met with Casey on this, and I think that with zoning and with the Architectural Review Board and stuff like that, which I was on for about 4 or 5 years while I was with the city, I think that we do need to tweak the zoning ordinances and stuff like that, because I know that they're pretty much outdated. Don't get me wrong, we do have a great city, but as things grow, you really need to relook at your zoning
Agreed.
quite often.
So I grew up in Byram, and
right.
it had lack of zoning.
Right.
And then they have to come in and try to put that back in the box, and it's
Right.
a disaster
Absolutely.
out there. So I respect zoning, and,
Right.
you absolutely need it, but it does need to be tweaked as you grow.
Oh, it has to be tweaked, and some of the stuff that he's looking out to, and basically he's trying to build his business, which you build business, inevitably you bring in more tax dollars for the city, which keeps our taxes low for our residents, which is what we're all about. Well, which is what we should be about. As a Republican, you want low taxes, and that's what I intend to do, to get with, and I've already talked to the zoning manager that is actually retiring in a couple of weeks, and he's running for alderman. And he and I have already talked about this same kind of thing, that he wants to do some tweaking and things like that. Now, after all that tweaking and stuff, then you bring it before the mayor and the board, and that has to be approved. So that's the type of things that I intend to do to help the Casey with Ellis Autoplex out there. People like that, that's a small business, and your small business is your backbone of the United States, not to mention of the city of Flowood. We got so many small businesses, but again, they need our help. Government is in there to help people, not the other way around. So my intent is to not just to specify Casey himself, but this will help all, no matter if it's other dealerships or all other businesses, because everyone has some problems. Whether it's here's the bottom line. We don't want to be Madison, and I'm not beating up on Mayor Mary, because she's got a great city over there. But I don't really want to be a county line either. As far as we got some empty buildings and things like that. So yes, we need to tweak. We need to stiffen up on some things, but we also need to relax on a few things.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I saw recently, and Sean, feel free to jump in anytime, brother. I saw something the other day where Ridgeland has taken a big hit in sales tax, and they can't figure out why. They say, we got Renaissance, we got all this new development here. Why is our sales tax taking a hit? I was like, well, I know the answer to this. County Line Road.
Yeah.
correct.
And it's of no fault of their own.
Right.
But it's like that south side of County Line Road, and how that's policed and what's happened over there has obviously affected the left side of County Line Road. The north side
Right.
of County Line Road. That North Park isn't, it had no fault of their own, isn't the juggernaut it once was.
That's right.
And, and it's affected the sales tax numbers in Ridgeland. And of course, Flowood doing as great of a job as it's done with retail,
Right.
with Dogwood and everything. Mm-hmm. And these things have grown, and people want to shop closer to home now too.
They do.
That shopping corridor ain't what it once was.
That was the destination to go to. Remember in the 90s, 2000s, you'd go out there. And I used to remember, now I'm so used to thinking, don't get off on County Line Road because it'll be packed. But nowadays, when you get off there, it's really not. You just drive right down County Line Road.
No, you just get accosted by the bums.
Yeah, that's it.
At the exit.
Right. Yeah.
And if you don't watch it, things like that, and that's one of the things that we do have problems with in the city of Flowood. We're starting to see a lot of pop-up empty stores and stuff like that. We got Steinmart out there that's been empty for about 5 years.
Oh,
which
wow. I didn't realize
I've got a plan of action. Actually, with me being the former Flowood Chamber Director, and also meeting so many legislatures and things like that, me being a board of supervisor for 8 years for Rankin County, I've got a lot of people and a lot of network that will actually help to be able to promote. And I think one of the main jobs of the mayor of the city of Flowood, or any mayor, is to go out and recruit these types of diversified different businesses out there, because at one time we were unique. We were actually unique in Flowood, and that was early on, the Four Corners and everything like that, and people all flooded to Flowood. Don't get me wrong, they do still come to Flowood, but it's almost like complacency now. Now you drive through Flowood and going to Madison, Ridgeland, wherever, to get something different, because stuff that we do not have. Now, I will say one of my major issues that I've heard while I've been on the campaign trail is we've got too many of the same types of businesses. I mean, when you have that, you water down all the money. And I've heard that from business leaders themselves. So to do something like that, that goes along again with the zoning. And can you stop the businesses from coming? No, but you make it where, okay, as in Architectural Review Board, you set a standard. You set this. I mean, we've got, and I'll just point blank say, we've got brick and mortar on some businesses that are chicken. like your
I was going to say, we're talking about chicken strip joints.
Right. So we got chicken salad chick and Chick-fil-A that are brick and mortar that are invested highly into
Same with
Flowood.
Huey Magoo's. They built a standalone location.
There you go, standalone. But then all of a sudden you get the chicken strip row out there that are in Connex boxes. So they basically drop them in with a crane. You know, to me, that's not fair to the business owners themselves that have invested so heavily into Flowood and said, look, I belong in Flowood. I've lived here in Flowood. And a lot of the business owners do live in Flowood. So to me, it's just not fair. You've got to be fair and equitable when you are the government.
That makes a lot. You know, I've noticed there's a lot of chicken businesses down.
Correct.
Like I was just had to go, unfortunately, go to the animal ER right there on Treetops a couple nights ago, and I saw they're building a Chick-fil-A there where the old sushi place was.
Right.
You know,
right.
And then there's a chicken place right next to Jason's shop that's new. Is like there's a bunch. They're all good. I'm just
right.
You know, but I see what you're saying. Like that creates that effect where it's just watered down too much.
It does.
It makes a lot of sense.
You don't. I mean, you have a lot of people coming through there, but then they have so many choices of the same types of meals. I mean, if you look through there, and I know you mentioned catfish at Burgers and Blues earlier and stuff, but we really don't have a Jerry's or a Barry's or anything like that. Buffet style, like a Cock of the Walk or whatever in Flowood. I mean, we got them outside.
That's a great point.
But, you know, we could put people like that in there because people, like you said, they like to stay local. They don't want to have to travel to go this far when they could drive right there.
Well, you know, some good friends of mine have Cypress Point, the former McLean's,
correct,
out there, and they do the buffet on Sundays and on the weekends and stuff. And I mean, man, it's slam jam.
It is
packed. You know, I can just imagine if you throttled that off by somebody opening up a seafood buffet type, restaurant buffet type place, especially a good locally owned one.
Absolutely.
Is Golden Corral still open?
It is. It's still open and been going strong. So I mean, there's certain days that it really is packed.
You have that down there, but if you put one of the big locally owned with slap dab in the middle, close to what we call the chicken strip through that Castlewoods area, you know, or maybe even taking up one of the big retail spaces that have been affected since COVID hit 5 years ago.
That's correct.
You know, something like that. But that'd be neat.
Yeah, it would. And you know, there's a lot of avenues that I have looked at, and me being blessed to be able to be with the city of Flowood since 1999, I've seen the growth, I've seen it be unique, and I've seen it now kind of turn in a different direction. And I've had a lot of people want me to be the mayor because they want some change, positive change, to take off of what Mayor Rhodes has instilled in this, but now I can take it to the next level. And given a chance, I think with a great board that because I know we're going to have a different board. We will, because there's some big races out there for the Board of Aldermen. So definitely need to make sure you get out on April 1st, because this is imperative for years down the road. I mean, Gary Rhodes has done a great job for 36 years. So to fill his shoes, you guys got to take it on to the next level. And as far as I'm concerned, I am the one with the experience and the know-how and the dedication. And all it is basically comes down to heart. I love the city of Flowood, moved my family over there 9 years ago, but I've been in the area since, 1998, 1999, right in there. So Flowood, to me, is my family. So
it seems, you know, it's interesting because what you talk about Mayor Rhodes and the work that, I mean, in terms of the metro area cities, I'd have to say that that's been the most impressive development over the course since the late 90s.
Right. The foresight.
You're talking about, I mean, of any of the metro area cities from that length of time.
Correct.
My parents, I remember, moved to Bay Point, which is the end of on 471 right there at the golf course.
Yes.
And I was in college at Millsaps, and you drive in the late 90s, and there's, you know, once you pass the movie theater, there wasn't anything.
Right.
And all the way till you got to Castlewoods.
Right.
And that steadily, I think around 2002, Dogwood opened, one side of it did, and then it grew from there. And so that kind of foresight was really, really good. But now that, I put it this way, that kind of great development now creates a new problem, what you're talking about, which I think is really interesting.
Absolutely.
You know, now that's, yeah.
And one of the biggest problems we do have, if you've been up on top of Lakeland Drive as much as we have, I mean, we get in between 50 to 60,000 plus cars going through there daily. So I've been fortunate enough to be able to meet the legislatures working at the fairgrounds. So I'm basically talking to them every single day. And I've been to Washington, D.C. on a few projects, so when I was a supervisor. So my main focus, again, another focus is infrastructure, because we've got to be able to move people around. the West Rankin, what is it?
The Parkway.
The Parkway, yes.
Yeah.
So that one's being built right now. I was a
That's
part
the one
of that.
That's the one that connects to Pearl at Pearson Road.
That's
right.
right, from
it comes from
Treetops.
Treetops.
That's
It's
right.
going to cut through to Pearson Road. That's going to be
So-
massive to open up
Right.
that real estate.
Yeah.
You know, Jake
Well-
Wyndham's one of my good friends. I
Right.
know he's been excited about it. That's going to pull those communities
Right.
together.
Really
You know,
is.
being a Brandon resident, the Airport Parkway,
Right.
coming up cross gates there behind Dogwood. That's been massive.
Well, and that's where I bring this to the head of this is when I was a Rankin County supervisor for 8 years, I was able to travel to Washington, sit down with the Thad Cochrans and the Wickers and stuff like that, and be able to gather money back from the federal to be able to implement and put into both of these projects. So, I already have that experience to know how to do that. You just got to know how to work through the cobwebs and the red tape to be able to do this stuff. And I do have a plan of action to be able to make this happen.
Well, now if we could just get Jackson to cut their part of the grass along the Parkway there, we'd really be on to something.
Right, yes, and that, I guess that's a good piece right there too, Clay, because once I become mayor, I do want to start having a mayor, basically at least a quarterly meeting with all the mayors in the metro area and say, look, guys, we all have our specialties. What can we do to help each other? Because when we help each other and we work with each other, not fight against each other, then that helps the entire economy around here.
Well, I think you're going to end up with a new mayor in Jackson as well, and I think they're going to be way more willing to cross the river and to reach out and actually work together and work in concert versus against one another.
Absolutely, and that also, and a great point on that is that also will improve the airport, because that is all a piece of everything. If you got a great airport and you have the mayors coming together to help to whatever's going on inside that, we need to be able to assist, because that thing sits right in the center of Flowood, even though it's a Jackson airport.
Yeah, so, same with Pearl there.
Correct.
I mean, if they paid as much attention to the escalator not working in there as they did making sure the sign had his name spelled right, we'd really be on to something. Let's take a break real quick. We got Greg Wilcox here in the studio with Sean Yurkron and myself, Clay Edwards, on a FAFO Friday. Mr. Wilcox is asking for your vote consideration in the upcoming Republican primary on April 1st.
That is correct, April 1st.
For a shot at being the mayor of Flowood. Well, we got 25 more minutes or so with him. We'll be right back on WYAB. Welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show here on WYAB 103.9 FM with our guest, well, of course, my co-host, Sean Yurkron, and our special guest today is Greg Wilcox. He's running for mayor of Flowood. The Republican primary is April 1st, so be sure to get out and vote if you live in Flowood, and consider Mr. Wilcox here to be your next mayor over there. Greg, one of the things we were talking about during the break, and one of our commenters was giving his suggestions on some things that Flowood needs, and you actually have a answer for at least one of these.
Right.
Anyway, we'll have a plan in place. Right. And George Bond said Flowood needs a senior center and a crawfish restaurant, and you've actually got a plan for a senior center?
I do have a plan for a senior center. So as the parks director for all those years, for 19 years actually, so the senior center we've never had. I've been pushing that for many, 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 many years. And on the campaign trail, I come across a lot of the seniors, and they say, well, what are you going to do for us? Well, Brandon has a senior center. Richland has a senior center. Pearl has a senior center. Flowood does not have a senior center where they can call their own home. And unfortunately, they get to meet once a week in the library in a meeting room. If we have an election in there, or if we have any kind of special project, whatever going on, they get kicked to the curb. So my thing of it is to build a senior center, and how we're going to do this is through 2% money. Most people don't realize when they go out to eat and when they have a drink or whatever in Flowood, they're not paying 7% tax. They're paying 9% tax. And that 2% tax can only be used for parks and recreation, the chamber, and the refuge, and it goes straight to the city into coffers. Now, with that money over time has now, and this has been verified by the city clerk, we are now bringing in over $4 million annually just in 2% tax.
Wow.
So if you can only fund those three types of entities, yes, we can build either a senior center for their own, or one of these empty shells that are sitting out there, been empty for a while. We pick those up, and all of a sudden we bring it right back into a senior center and allow them to have they're the ones that paved the way for Flowood. I mean, we've got some 93-year-old ladies that I'm really good friends out there that they're part of the senior center one day a week, but there's more than one day a week. So I think we need to give back to our seniors. So, I mean, that is it in a nutshell.
Something that I would like to see, and I'm not a resident, and we got this out in Brandon, but something I think Flowood could take advantage of with the traffic,
right,
the amount of people that live there, the demographic that
right,
lives there. One of those big empty spaces, and you said the Stein Mart that was empty.
That's right. Stein Mart's been empty 5 or 6 years.
That space, for example, and I know the city doesn't want to get into the business of renting commercial real estate, but like a City Hall Live, like what they did in Brandon, a community center,
right, that
you could host big concerts inside. Events, galas, balls, stuff like that. Somewhere you can put 2,000-3,000 people under a roof for events would be huge for that area. And you link up with a promoter, and we'll just say like Live Nation, for example, and let them bring concerts through there. You got all the parking. You got all the restaurants. You got the hotels. I mean, it's more equipped and ready for an amphitheater than Brandon was.
Oh, it really is.
I'm glad Brandon got it. I live right behind it.
Right.
Very convenient for me. But as far as being able to immediately benefit from what that amphitheater or
right,
venue would bring to the town because of tax dollars with
right,
hotels, restaurants, absolutely, and whatnot. It's craving for some live music space over there.
Well, and that is you hit it with a home run on that one. That is my intent, to see a big, huge building like that, to bring some arts and some things like that.
Mm-hmm,
because
culture.
Culture and arts and things, because it is a big area.
And not to cut you off, but with Jackson dropping the ball with Mayoral Hall,
right?
And that was one of the few things. That was one of the few venues that still forced people to have to come to Jackson,
right,
for the arts, for the ballet,
right,
for not my jam,
right,
for the plays. But, man, if somebody could recreate Thalia Mara in Rankin or Madison County, son, put a nail in the coffin.
It would kill
its own.
Yeah.
Well, that's a statement, and that's one of the things that I intend to do, because as a mayor, that's my background, is events. So that falls right in the purview of what I'm looking at. Things like that with the Stein Mart. And I've really been put in what you just said is one of my thoughts to get right in the middle of, because if you're going to make Flowood a destination point and a statement, that's what the mayor needs to be doing, recruiting places like that to make that happen, and negotiate with whoever owns that piece of property. Mm-hmm. We negotiate, because it's not only going to help them, but every surrounding business in Flowood.
Oh, man, you bring 2,500, 3,000 people to a parking lot at Dogwood on a Friday or Saturday night for an event. Those restaurants around there, those bars, man, that 2% tax.
It's just going to continue.
It's going to pay for that senior center. It's going to pay for so many things.
Absolutely. And, another key point to that is sponsorships, because if they're going to benefit from that, they're actually going to be putting money back into it, because they're trying to sponsor and basically market their places that they want people to be able to come into. So, not only the city would be behind it with that $4 million per year annually, but also you can gather in marketing tools from these businesses to be able to make this happen.
Well, then you get local restaurants that bid on having the catering contracts for these big events.
Correct.
You get guys like Buck Allman and them who benefit from bringing in, putting in the bid and getting it, for the production.
Right.
These are all local businesses that will benefit from beyond just it's so much more than just ticket sales.
That's right.
And butts and seats. There's a lot of moving parts. I used to be a concert producer and a nightclub owner myself.
So you really understand that, yes.
100%. All the, what we call the rider.
Right. Oh, the rider.
Fulfilling the rider
is
a very expensive ordeal. And that's a lot of money that goes into fulfilling that rider for the local community.
That's exactly right. That's so you and I need to be working close in hand. I didn't realize that was your background, but yes, that's my background. So yes, this is a definite need. I don't want to see a huge empty building any longer, and no one else does, because all it does, it brings in people, just the appearance starts bringing in the undesirables. They're not going to be putting any money into it. They're going to be putting the problems, and we don't want the problems. So We need a strong police force. We need a strong fire department force, which we do. We already have. So, but we need to get them out into the community even more so. And that's one thing I wanted to lead into when I say I want to bring City Hall out to the people. I want to have quarterly meetings with all of my department heads and also the alderman that represents those HOAs or wherever they represent out to the people. That way the people sometimes are more easily going to tell you what their problems are and their needs are if you go to them instead of them having to come to us. Now, last piece I will say about that, my transparency piece has already started working. I've been wanting minutes on website for years because most everyone does that. That way you can click a button, you can find out what's going on in the board meetings. So after the last couple of weeks, I've been requesting 10 years of the last minutes just to read up and see what's been going on. And all of a sudden, and then someone else did the same thing, and lo and behold, they scanned everything in. Now on the website, they've got 10 years of minutes on there for people, and kudos to City Hall and Mayor Rhodes for doing that. I'm glad they did.
Now, for us that aren't aware, what is minutes?
Okay, so minutes are your board minutes from your board of aldermen and the mayor's. So first and third Monday of every month, they have a board meeting. So those are the minutes that's happened throughout that meeting. You know, whether it be a building of or a zoning change or a building, allowing a building to come in, or anything from A to Z is in the minutes. You speak through the minutes.
Okay.
So people can actually pull that off the website and read about what's been going on and for their city, what their taxes are going for. One last thing I want to do, and then I helped to enact this when I was a Rankin County Board of Supervisor, was to have it live streamed. I want to see the meeting itself live streamed because a lot of people just can't get out and go, but if they can't watch it live stream, then they can download it and watch it later, see what's going on, and keep up with where their tax money is going. So that's a plus for, I think, everyone.
I think transparency is huge. I know with Sean and I being, Sean is still a Jackson resident, and me being a Jackson refugee out in Brandon. Now, transparency is something that lacks massively with certain cities around here.
It does.
And I think that just rings that sounds really, really good to people who are tired of their tax dollars going to ridiculous things. Right. And really being able to track it. Like, hey, you expect me to pay this? Well, I expect to know what it's going to.
There you go. And unless you go to City Hall and say, hey, what's the deal with this? Well, it may take you a little while to find out what's up with where the tax money is going. But if you post the minutes after every meeting, you post them, and all of a sudden they can read through. And if they've got questions on that, then all of a sudden they can contact us. But like I said, quarterly, I'm going to have my department heads and my board of aldermen, whoever represents that area, to go out there to the people. That way, a lot of people just don't want to come to City Hall unless they're paying their water bill. But let's get to the root of the problem so we can fix them.
All right, let's take our last break. We got Greg Wilcox, candidate for mayor of the city of Flowood, here in the studio with us. We'll be right back to land the plane for the week with Sean Yorkron and myself on the Clay Edwards Show.
Get through.
Welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show here with Sean Yorkron and Greg Wilcox. Yes, Sean is, though he's not pictured here in the studio, he is in the studio. He appreciate Sean giving up his seat to the guest so he could be on camera. And our guest is Greg Wilcox. He is Flowood mayoral candidate. We got about a minute and 10 seconds left. Greg, in closing, tell people why they should get out and vote for you.
Well, I've got a vision. I've got a heart. And I've got all the experience in the world, from being a veteran in the Air Force to being a county supervisor for 8 years, working for the city of Flowood since 1999 all the way to 2019. Was the mayor's assistant the last 2 years of those, so every time he could not be wherever he needed to be in meetings or whatever, I held that position to be able to speak on his behalf. And then I retired after 2019 to bring the Flowood Chamber back, worked with all the businesses whenever everything was closing down to market them and bring them out of the red to the black, 275,000 in the black whenever I left. So, look, my thing of it is experience matters to everything. I mean, if you look at the resume, if you look at my resume and my opponents, and I don't want to, I like Kathy, but don't get me wrong, I think my experience way overweighs everything we got.
Greg, thank you so much for coming in, brother. Greg Wilcox, April 1st, mayor of Flowood. See y'all Monday.